Would you say that you enjoy your job, or do you wake up dreading going into work? Do you feel that you're in the right career, or do you feel like something is missing? Perhaps you don't hate your job or dread going into work, but at the same time, you don't feel very motivated either. Could it be time to take a leap of faith and try something new like your own business, or should you play it safe? We'll be discussing this and more on the UK's only TV show on mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show. And I'm your host, Chrissy B. Well, we took to Twitter to see what some of you are saying about your jobs. Well, hopefully you don't feel like Nick. Dana says, don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you that you have to stay in a job you hate. Life isn't meant to consist of constant and needless struggling. Here's some good advice from Resume Prime. Don't make quick decisions just because you've had enough. It may lead to long-term regret that you'll never forget. Sarah says, ever wake up and ask yourself, do I really need this job, or can I stay in this bed all day? Still Living says, I work at a daycare and I don't like kids. Hashtag hate my job. But it's not all doom and gloom. What if you have a view like this from your desk? Lucky you, Rebecca. For Emily, the people around her at work make a difference. These ladies inspire me every day we meet. I'm so lucky to work with them. Our meetings are my favorite. So what do you think about your job? Do you love it or hate it? We'd love to know. Drop us a line on info@chrissybshow.tv. So let me tell you about my guest today. We start with Denise Mortimer, who followed her passion after 50 to create a dream business after 20 years in the NHS. How did she step out of her place of fear to achieve her dreams? We then go to Psychologist Dr Audrey Tang, talking about the negative effect that can arise when you're not enjoying your career. And we also have news correspondent Helena Chard with this week's A Helping of Happy, bringing positive news to your screens. We also have fitness expert Natalia Katowska showing us some simple stretches that you can do with the help of a tree, yes, a tree, and Dr Rob Hicks answers your medical questions. We'll also be having on Hannah Richards with another yummy recipe, but let's get started with our real life story guest, Denise Mortimer. Welcome to the show, Denise.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, it's lovely to have you on because your story is perfect for our theme today, which is about taking a leap of faith. So you did this a little while ago, but first of all, can you tell us what you were doing before you started your own business?
I had spent a number of years in the NHS and local government, and about 20 years to be exact, so quite a long time.
And did you enjoy that job though?
Do you know, I enjoyed elements of it, but I was surfing. I kept surfing from one job to the next because I was never really comfortable. I was never really at home in any of the jobs.
So not one of the positions that you had fulfilled you in any way, would you say, or just like bits that you liked?
Yeah, really? There were bits and pieces, but my attention span was like so short, and I knew there was something else that I needed to be doing. So it was like a temporary fix for something that I needed a bigger action for.
How long were you actually thinking about maybe making a change before you actually did?
Years.
Really?
I always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but I did think there were two types of people in the world: the people who work for someone else and the people who have their own business. And I thought I was in the former rather than the latter. I thought I was going to be sort of committed to working for someone else because I thought there was like a magic secret society or something of people who work for themselves, and I didn't have the entry.
Really? Oh, but it was always there in the back of your mind though.
Yeah, just admiring other people and thinking, how can they do it and why can't I do it?
Would you say that was the main thing that kind of stopped you for so long, or was it something else? else?
I didn't know what to do. Like there's no sort of template for being an entrepreneur, is there? And I didn't know the first step to take. So I sort of sat in the background and watched other people live out my dream and sort of being, oh, rats, like, wishing, hoping that one day that could be me.
So when did you actually finally take that leap of faith then and decide, this is it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to leave? Because you had a very secure job, didn't you? And
yes.
You actually took a big risk.
Yes. Well, I think it was when I was 50 years old. It was, and this sounds really awful, but I got to a point in my life where I was like, you hit 50 and you think there's more behind me than ahead of me. And if I don't do that thing that I've wanted to do, I'm never going to do it. So that was my prompt at that point.
Okay. And what did you do then? What did you start?
It actually started in my kitchen. My daughter's got this incredible nomadic lifestyle, and she said, why don't you take your coaching online? And I'm like, how do I coach online? I don't know how to do this. Yeah. So she then planted a seed that I started growing and more, and I hired a business mentor, and I started learning the secret that I didn't know before, that everyone else seemed to know, that I didn't see, that seemed to escape me.
Which was
get a business mentor to teach me all the ins and outs, all the things that I didn't know. I'm like, this is the key, this is the trick, this is the thing that I need to learn now.
So were you already doing a bit of coaching before that, or was it just something completely new?
I was doing coaching, but I was always doing it on like an ad hoc basis. I didn't have any sort of system or strategy for doing it. I was always, I studied it, I did a positive psychology degree, I did a coaching mastery, like my whole adult life, all my education was around coaching and psychology, positive psychology. So I just didn't know how to translate those skills into a business.
Okay, and once you actually discovered sort of the business mentoring and how to actually apply things, did you think, what have I been waiting for so long and I could have done this earlier? Or were you like, no, this is the right time now for me?
Do you know, that's such a great question, and I do believe there's divine timing for everything. And I could sit there and wistfully say, oh, I wish I'd have done this years before, but everything is perfectly timed. So I've come to that sort of resolution about, I can't wish it was any earlier because everything is as it's supposed to be.
I know sometimes, Denise, people think, oh, I've wasted so many years doing something else, but I never think those years are a waste because you're still picking up skills and experience, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I've made so many great connections in the NHS, and some of my clients are still NHS people, and and actually just a big sort of thumbs up for the NHS. It's an amazing institution, and so to be able to be of service to them for so long is it was my honor as well. Even though it wasn't my passion, it was still an honor to work for the NHS.
So how is your coaching business going now?
My coaching business is going phenomenally. It's going really, really well. Yeah. But it's ever since I started applying all these business skills that so it's joyful. I have so many amazing clients, and it's just what I dreamed of. It was what I'd been dreaming of for years. So
how does it feel now to wake up every morning and actually be doing something that you really love, as opposed to not hating what you were doing before, but not liking it as much, would you say?
Yeah, it's really lovely. It's amazing. Like, I love to see the transformation with my clients. That's like my number one thing. It's great to earn money. It's great to work from home. It's great to get, I do speaking opportunities. I have so many amazing opportunities, but the one thing that really gets me going is when my clients get an amazing result. Like, that's and I know that I've played a part in it. They have to do the work themselves, but I know that I've facilitated that change, and it just makes me feel like a proud mother.
Wonderful. Now, you said you were 50 when you decided to actually do something. What about viewers that are watching that are saying, do you know what, that's too old for me. I think it's too late to actually start something new. I don't think I've got the energy. I don't think I can learn something new. What would you say to them?
Oh, no, it's absolutely, it's your time. It's your time to try something new. It's been a great opportunity for me because I actually stand out from a lot of the millennials who are starting coaching businesses online. So I'm different from the others because I'm a little bit older. And to be honest, I think there's a lot to be said for the life experience in addition to all the qualifications and the business know-how. That's right. That sets me up at more of an advantage in some ways. So
it's about looking at what you do have rather than thinking, it's too late.
Yes, and definitely not too old. I mean, you can start something new at any time. It's a matter of whether you decide it's time to give up or time to continue. So there's there's no time limit and no age limit on creating something new for yourself.
Denise, can you give us maybe a few of your top tips on starting a business from what you've learned for yourself?
Okay.
Apart from getting a business mentor.
Yeah, well that's absolutely my number one thing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I didn't know. And once I got all the foundations in place, it's like trying to build a business with that. It's like trying to build a house on sand. You need to have a good foundation. You need to have an understanding of all the elements that you need to have in place to start to grow from there. And so in the online world, my top tips would be get yourself a good business mentor, but do your due diligence. Make sure that your business mentor is who they say they are, because it's not a regulated industry, so people can just go out and make claims and be quite convincing. So make sure you're getting a good business mentor who you can check their track record. You can look at company's house and see if they've created the income they said they're going to create. They had created. So there's all different ways to check that. Well, it's part of your due diligence, because a lot of people are getting scammed by really clever people in the industry. So you need to be careful who you're hiring, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to. You've got to be fearless. One of the biggest fears people have is actually being visible. And when you're online, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of traffic in the online space, and you've got to be willing to be seen, and you've got to be willing to claim your expert status. If you're going to hang back and go, well, maybe I'm not good enough, and let that sort of ego fear take over, you're not gonna be seen. I keep telling my clients, keep telling everyone who you are until they're asking for you, by name, because once you get to that point, you know that you've really made a mark. So
wonderful. How's life today then for you, Denise? How is it like waking up and doing something that you love, and how is it different from before? Do you set your own hours and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, some days are grueling because I'll have back-to-back client calls, and it can be quite tiring to maybe 7 or 8 calls in the course of a day when you're giving people your full attention. But generally speaking, wake up in the morning and it's go to the gym. It's create the life that I want on my terms.
So you work out and everything, look after your health.
I can do my training. One thing I did feel like I surrendered a lot because I've been building my business so much was a bit of a social life. Like I was so immersed in building my business. But this year is my year of creating more balance. Last year was building, and this year is creating more balance.
Sounds amazing. Denise, thank you so much for sharing your story.
My absolute pleasure.
And all the best with your business. I'm sure it's going to just keep growing and growing.
Thank you so much. Delighted to be here.
Thank you. All right, everybody, so after the break, we have on psychologist Dr. Audrey Tang talking about the negative effect that can arise when you're not enjoying your career. And we also have news correspondent Helena Chard with this week's A Helping of Happy, bringing positive news to your screens. I decided on a dance because dance, crosses all barriers.
It's very inspirational, and it sort of let out the feelings of mental health.
The dance helps you express yourself and your feelings, and that you can tell someone about how you feel, except from being scared.
It actually aims to encourage people to open up and get the help that they need without the fear of being stigmatized.
You can express emotions through the dance.
Everyone should have the right to feel happy.
Good morning, are you excited about today?
Today we are at Brookman's Primary School.
I'm here today with years 5 and 6 at St Michael's Church of England School in Bishop Stortford.
Hi everyone, today we're here at Hillingdon Manor School.
MHD Challenge, Mental Health Dance in Studio 68.
This has been
at Oxywood Primary School to do the MHD challenge.
Because I know what it feels like to be depressed and feel heavy all the time, but I also know what it feels like to be on the other side and completely recovered. I don't want anyone to have to learn to live with depression and other mental health issues when they don't have to. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, your age. Everyone can get involved in dancing.
No one necessarily remembers their best maths lesson that they've had or their best literacy lesson, but I think they'll remember their best mental health dance challenge that they've had.
What did you think of the dance when you first heard of it?
I thought it was going to be amazing.
Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody. And today's theme is all about taking that leap of faith. When is it the right time to do it? And actually, is it the right time to do it? So now it's time to talk to psychologist Dr. Audrey Tang about the negative effect that can arise when you're not actually enjoying your career. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thank you for having me, Chrissy.
Have you ever been in this situation? Where
Yes, I have. I've been in it from both sides, though.
Okay.
Once I've really not enjoyed being in the career I was in, and I changed career completely. That's when I went into teaching.
Oh, okay.
And then when I was in teaching, I loved it. But then I had the opportunity to do my PhD, and it was like, I really enjoy what I'm doing now. I'm earning very good money, but what happens if I have a go? And that was one of the hardest things, because I had to make that decision completely without a safety net.
Wow.
But I'm so glad I did it. So I've been on both sides, and I've been down the road of hating being where I am, and it does make you feel so horrible.
So can you tell us about how that feels when you're not, enjoying what you're doing and actually even hating what you're doing?
Yeah, a lot of the time, there's a lot of things that have piled up to make you feel that way.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I can recognise in people that I see or coach as well is they have no feeling of pride in what they're doing anymore. They're almost just getting by. And as humans, we don't want to just do that. We want to do well. We want to get praise. We want to feel appreciated and feel that we're at least making a difference in the workplace, if nothing else. And then, unfortunately, what can happen is it starts to take a physical toll on us. We start, it's not quite self-sabotage, but it's those thoughts of, I'd actually rather be in a car accident than get into work today. And those thoughts can be very damaging, because we know how powerful thinking can be. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to make you go into a self-fulfilling prophecy, but you're already feeling a lot more careless about yourself, and that can be very damaging. Then, of course, it leads to stress, it leads to anxiety, which can lead to depression. It can lead to a lot of physical symptoms, things like migraines, stomach aches, stomach ulcers even, because
so
you're trying
many
to sustain
effects.
all of that negative energy. And worse still, it can have knock-on effects to other people that you're working with. There's a model called the Batarist box, and what that does is it just demonstrates that somebody's attitude can really affect how you're feeling, and vice versa. So if you were feeling okay and then someone's come along and they're actually feeling quite down, suddenly you also almost pick up on that energy.
It affects families as well, doesn't it? Because if you take that home with you,
And the worst problem is talking to your spouse or your partner or somebody who cares about you is often they will tell you, well, just leave the job. You don't always want to leave, and leaving isn't always right for you. So those are the problems that you're having to manage. Sometimes if you have other priorities, leaving and just walking out isn't an option. But temping might be, because then you're still paying the bills, you're still fulfilling your commitments. And with that, you begin to recognise that you might have transferable skills. It might be that actually, whilst you didn't like working in a finance department, you might be able to work in a similar role, but in a medical department or something like that. And you begin thinking, oh, was it the team I wasn't quite getting on with, or was it the job itself? So that gives you a lot more ideas. We also struggle with something called the sunk cost bias. We don't want to leave because we think, I've invested so much time and energy and effort into this job. What if it changes? The whole problem is, if you continue working under that belief, oh, it's going to get better, and it doesn't, and then your physical health goes, that decision goes out of your hands because you're too sick to make that decision. So it's really important, if you're really thinking about it, maybe have a fallback of temping, of something else that you can do, but it may be better to take that decision before the decision is forced upon you. The last thing I would probably also add is, sometimes when we're changing careers, and now there is no age limit, don't start worrying, oh, I'm too old to do this, that and the other. The world has changed quite a lot. But if you are thinking of changing careers, think about where that job's going to be in 3 years' time, say when you've trained. Think about how it's changing. So for example, I know in certain fields of engineering, the skill of computer-aided design is so important now that they would prefer to take someone who was trained in that area and then train them to do the other things because of the way that particular job is going. So don't rest and think, oh, well, I know it's been like this for 10, 20 years. Social media, technology, it's changing so quickly. Really think about where that job will be in at least a year's time or 2.5 years' time. And then if you train for that, you'll be ahead of the curve. So there's a lot of considerations, but it's possible to be done, and it's possible to be done with a fallback if you need it.
And it's never too late or a wrong time of year or right time of year. You can do it any time.
The worst time of year will be when your body has already gone, I just don't want to do this anymore, and then you're suffering with depression, anxiety, and you're having to manage all of those symptoms, as well as the fact that you really don't want to be going to work.
Okay, wonderful. Audrey, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next time for another topic. Thank you. Everybody, so now it's time for even more positivity, this time with Helena Chard in this week's A Helping of Happy. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Thank you, Chrissy.
So what lovely news have you got for us today?
So I've got various little bits of information, taking a leap of faith. Starting off with Kirstie Ennis, at 21, living the perfect life. It was a dream for her. She was a daughter of 2 Marines, and she did flying combat and rescue missions in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Unfortunately, she had a crash, a helicopter crash. She was lucky in that she survived, but she had lots of really bad injuries, facial, body, shoulder, leg, various things. Anyway, during her recovery period, she had a huge internal battle. And she really couldn't cope, and she tried to take her own life. She survived, luckily. Her father then said to her, look, what are you doing? The enemy didn't take your life, and now you're trying to take your life. And that sort of really resonated with her, and it was what she needed to hear. And she just decided, okay, I'm going to dwell, on what I can do. I'm going to really try and concentrate on what I can do, not what I can't do. And from that moment, things changed. She still had to endure loads of operations. She also did, unfortunately, at one point, she lost her leg. They had to take her leg off. But she decided she loved snowboarding. She then was climbing loads of mountains.
Really?
Yeah, and she trained really, really hard, and it gave her her lifeline, her purpose. And excitement back, and she now.
All the things snowboarding.
I know.
The leg,
That's hard enough as it is, isn't it, with your legs? Gosh. But she, she's just hungry now to achieve, and she's doing really well, and she's employed. But the funny thing is as well that she had lots of psychological help, which didn't actually help her at all. It was getting out and moving.
Really,
it really gave her everything.
So you have to do what works for you, don't you? Really?
Absolutely. So huge courage and strength, and now has moved into her future. Which is a lovely story, really, really lovely. Also, a lady called Verla, it's an unusual name, Verla. She lives in Ontario, well, she did live in Ontario, Canada, in the city, with her 2 boys, and she divorced, say, 10 years earlier, And the one thing they hung on to was their big house. They loved their big house. It was their whole life. And so in order to obviously keep the big house, she had to work really hard, really, really hard. And she actually hated her job. She hated her boss. She worked really long hours, really long. When she left work, she had a tiny, tiny little opening to go to the gym, which she needed, because at the time she didn't realise she also had a chronic immune disease. Anyway, so she just basically wasn't living, and she suffered with that FOMO, so fear of missing out. So she didn't want to move. She was going to miss her friends. She didn't really think it through. It got to a point where she suddenly thought, I have to leave. And she did move to the country with masses of trees around her. And it was the best thing ever that she did for her. Her boys actually moved away, but because it helped her with her illness. And of course, it was like, she didn't realise she had a choice. And at that moment, all those years has passed, but she was pleased that she's made the decision to move.
Yeah, at least she's done it.
And the trees have been really healing, which is really lovely.
Just that being close to nature and creation, isn't it?
Absolutely, which is really lovely. I'm going to talk about Emily. So Emily developed anorexia at the time when her mum was dying of cancer, sadly. She was admitted to hospital, which was really, really, really tough for her. But Emily's mum really inspired her, and obviously her healing, to start her own business, which gave her a sense of purpose. And she started her business in creating boxes of snacks for people struggling to eat, or whether it be chemotherapy, Alzheimer's, mental health. And it's sort of like it's a comfort for people at that time, and it's a thriving business. So she's done really, really well, which is great. Yeah, she is. So that could be.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. Absolutely. And I think I'm going to finish with Kerry Katona, who we know she was a singer, etc. But she went down a slippery path and really thought she didn't have any hope at all. But she suddenly then changed, so she got children and things, suddenly changed her mindset and decided to throw herself into exercise. And now she feels amazing, because she does have bipolar, but she's come off the medication because the exercise and sports have really given her everything she needs. And she looks and feels amazing. And sadly, she is getting attacked in the media because everyone keeps saying, oh, it's her again, but she's got up again. And she's fought, and she's doing really well. So I mean,
the media was going to go on, But we're positive on this show, so we don't put anyone down, do we?
Brilliant. No, of course not.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next time.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, everybody. So after the break, we have fitness expert Natalia Katowska showing us some simple stretches that you can do with the help of a tree. Helena? Yes, a tree.
We love trees.
And Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions, including this one. I sometimes wake up coughing during the night. Why does this happen? See what Dr. Rob Hicks has to say after this break. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, host of the UK's only TV programme dedicated to mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show, which airs on MyTV Sky 191 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Follow our social media on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter at Chrissy B Show, and our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. For more information, visit chrissybshow.tv. Wilkman's Primary School, Hillingdon Manors School,
Studio 68.
Helen School. I decided on a dance because dance, crosses all barriers.
It's very inspirational.
Helps you express yourself.
You can express emotions.
Because I know what it feels like to be depressed and feel heavy all the time, but I also know what it feels like to be on the other side and completely recovered. I don't want anyone to have to learn to live with depression.
What did you think of the dance when you first heard of it?
I thought it was going to be amazing.
Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody, and we are the UK's only programme that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being. So now it's time to talk to Dr. Rob Hicks in this week's Doctor's Answers. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good indeed.
Keeping healthy?
I'm doing my best.
And happy, yeah.
Oh, but always happy.
Brilliant. Okay. So we have the first question for you. This viewer says, sometimes I wake up coughing during the night. I don't go to bed with a cough or cough during the day. So why is this happening? What do you think, Rob?
Well, that's an interesting question because it's obviously going to be irritating for our viewer.
Yeah.
It could well be irritating for other people within the household as well.
Especially the partner, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So things to think about. I think, if this has been going on for more than a couple of weeks, then it's a good idea to have a checkup with your doctor, particularly if you've got other symptoms as well. So things like sore throat, a blocked nose, or any swelling of the limbs, for example. There are a number of different causes that could be responsible. So asthma is one, a condition called COPD, which is essentially chronic bronchitis, emphysema. Allergy could be the cause, particularly if it's only happening when you go to bed. There may be something in the bedroom that's triggering it. Maybe you've got a cat and the cat sits on the bed and you turn out you're a bit allergic to the cat. Postnasal drip is another possible reason. During the day, mucus from the back of the nose drains relatively easily when we're sitting up or standing up, but when we lie down, sometimes it doesn't drain so easily, so we cough to try and clear it from the back of our throat. Or it could be acid reflux. Again, when you lie down, sometimes that acid comes back up from the stomach, irritates the back of the throat and causes you irritation and to cough. So those are the likely causes. As I said, I think, have a checkup with your doctor, identify what the underlying problem might be so you can get the appropriate treatment. And in the meantime, think about elevating the head of the bed. So not with pillows, but actually, stick some books or bricks under the legs of the bed, again, to help gravity get the mucus to drain or stop the acid from coming back up. Put moisture into the air. So maybe use a humidifier. Don't smoke, obviously, because any sort of smoking is going to irritate a cough, make it worse. Think about salt water nasal spray or cleanse, particularly if you've got a blocked nose. And drink plenty during the day, because actually keeping hydrated will help thin any mucus, which makes it easier to drain.
Another very interesting question, Rob. This person is asking, can I take paracetamol and ibuprofen at the same time?
That is a very interesting question, a very good question too. Mm-hmm. If you're an adult, so you're age 16 or over, then the answer is yes, you can take them both at the same time. There's no known harmful effects of taking them at the same time if you're an adult. It's important, you can actually space them out as well. You don't have to take them at the same time, you can alternate as an adult. It's important with ibuprofen, you always take it with or after food because it can irritate the lining of the stomach. And as with any medicine, make sure you always take these treatments according to the dosage advice. Children, however, should not have these drugs at the same time unless they've been advised to by their doctor. The reason is that there is a greater risk of overdose with these medicines because the paracetamol you take 4 times a day, ibuprofen you take 3 times a day, and those of us as parents know how difficult it is to keep track of the different medicines you're giving to a child who's unwell. Certainly with my children, I always write it down. I write down the dose, I write down the time, and I write down the date and the day because it's easy to forget when you've given the last dose. Well, I think it's safety. You kind of learn that it's the best way of doing it. The other thing is actually with these drugs, if let's say you give them paracetamol and by the time the next dose is due, your child is still distressed, then you can give the other one instead. But what's very, very important is that you always follow the dosage instructions of the drugs, that you make sure that the drugs are appropriate for your child's age, and if you're not sure, that you never guess, you always ask advice from your doctor, your nurse or your pharmacist.
Wonderful. And last question for today, Rob. Sometimes my eye throbs for no reason, like it has a little heartbeat of its own. I can actually see the bottom lid moving when I look in the mirror. Is this normal?
This is a very common thing, and the majority of cases it's down to stress. Mm-hmm. I would advise you to see your optician to get an eye test, and the optician will examine your eyes as well. If you're getting other symptoms in addition to this, like redness, visual blurring or double vision, pain or discharge, or any other nerve-related symptoms like weakness or numbness or tingling, ask your doctor to check you out. But the likelihood, and I've had this condition myself, the likelihood is it's stress-related. So the answer is resolve the stress. Keep a diary, a symptom diary, to identify what might be triggering the stress for you and the twitching of the eyelid. And then if you can identify likely causes, you can do your best to avoid them. Then it's a case of managing stress in what ways works for you. So it might be drinking tea, it might be watching television, it might be eating cake, it might be reading, it might be listening to music. And my advice to people is take 5 minutes out every hour to relax and unwind, and have at least 30 minutes a day doing something that you enjoy. And that way you can get on top of stress, and you'll be surprised once you've got a diagnosis from your doctor or that there is stress related, you'll be surprised how quickly that twitching actually just disappears.
Could that be like overuse on the computer as well?
It can be, yes, it can be, but 9 times more often than not, it's stress related. And this is the body's way of saying, hey, take notice of me. You're ignoring that I'm stressed, so I'm giving you a symptom that's going to make you sit up and take notice.
Good. Listen to your body, right?
Yes,
Told you a lot of things.
Yeah, it does.
Rob, thank you so much.
My
and
pleasure.
We'll see you again very soon.
Yes,
thank you. Once again, everybody, if you have a question for Rob, all you need to do is email us on doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Well, now it's time to head over to Natalia Kotoska for this week's workout.
Hey guys, it's me, NK Do It With Nadia, fitness expert, and today I have for you some stretches. If you've done your upper body, lower body workout or circuit, you always make sure that you stretch at the end. So here I have 4 exercises with you, 4 stretches that we can do with tree. We're gonna go with the lower body first. Super easy, just grab a tree, hold the tree, do a little step back, and push your heel as close to the floor as you can, and try to put a little bit pressure on that tree. So push that tree and heel to the floor. So in this case, you're stretching your calf muscle over here. You're pushing, feel nice and warm in order to stretch your muscles, okay? So remember that. And we're switching legs. Again, big step back, pushing that heel as far as you can. Try to touch the ground with your heel. And look in front, and enjoy. Apparently there's a lot of energy in the tree, so make sure that you really grasp as much as you can. That's your first one, calf stretch. Then the next one, feet on the tree, and you want to lean towards your feet, towards the tree. So in this case, you're stretching really your hamstring and inner thighs, and lean as far as you can, as much as you can. You do not want to hurt yourself, but you want to make sure that you're really stretching deeply. Once you feel it's enough, change. And next, another leg. Feel it again, hamstring and inner thigh. Hamstring and inner thigh. Yep, then shake it off. And we're gonna go for quad stretch. So, be careful, because the ground is always uneven, so make sure that you're really careful. Feet against the tree, and again, try to push your body as close to the tree as possible. So in this case, we're stretching our quads, the big front muscle in our leg. Stretch it, stay here for a few seconds, and change leg. Try to again, push your body as close to the tree as possible. Heel is touching your bum, and feel that nice and deep stretch. Once you're done, again, shake it off. And hand against the tree. We want to stretch our shoulder, our pecs, because we did the upper body workout. So you want to rotate as much to the other side as you can, but try to keep that shoulder nice and straight, 90-degree tree, and your shoulder and your body. You're going to rotate. Feel that deep stretch in your shoulder and your pec muscle. Once you're done with one side, you want to change. Again, more or less 90-degree, hand, shoulder, body, And rotate, 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 rotate till you feel you cannot go any further. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Stay there for a few seconds. And relax, shake it off. And that's it for today, guys. Our lovely stretches with a tree. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for exercising with us, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Natalia there. So after the break, we're going to be having a healthy recipe with Hannah Richards, and I'll be wrapping up today's program. I decided on a dance because dance, crosses all barriers.
It's very inspirational and it sort of let out the feelings of mental health.
The dance helps you express yourself and your feelings, and that you can tell someone about how you feel, except from being scared.
It actually aims to encourage people to open up and get the help that they need without the fear of being stigmatized.
You can express emotions through the dance.
Everyone should have the right to feel happy.
Good morning, are you excited about today?
Today we are at Brookman's Primary School.
I'm here today with years 5 and 6 at St Michael's Church of England School in Bishop Stortford.
Hi everyone, today we're here at Hillingdon Manor School.
MHD Challenge, Mental Health Dance in Studio 68.
This has been Hendon School for the MHD Challenge.
Today we're at Oxywood Primary School to do the MHD Challenge.
Because I know what it feels like to be depressed and feel heavy all the time, but I also know what it feels like to be on the other side and completely recovered. I don't want anyone to have to learn to live with depression and other mental health issues when they don't have to. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, your age. Everyone can get involved in dancing.
No one necessarily remembers their best maths lesson that they've had or their best literacy lesson, but I think they'll remember their best mental health dance challenge that they've had.
What did you think of the dance when you first heard of it? I thought it was going to be amazing.
Welcome back to today's program, everybody. So as you know, we love to talk about nutrition on this program because it is very important for our mental health and well-being. So off we go to Hannah Richards' kitchen for another lovely, yummy and healthy recipe.
Hello and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. My name's Hannah Richards and today I'm going to make porridge and I call it Goldilocks porridge. I'm going to take you first of all through all the ingredients we're going to use. First of all, we're going to talk about star anise, and this is a really wonderful herb spice with a bit of an aniseedy taste to it. These are cinnamon sticks, and we're going to put these spices into the porridge, and the flavours are going to infuse out as we're cooking. I've got my pan on the heat here, and I'm going to start with a spoon of coconut oil. First of all, we're going to throw in a big can as well of coconut milk. So then we're going to throw in some oats into the porridge. You could obviously use quinoa oats or buckwheat, but these are just your normal oats. It's also worth saying that oats are gluten-free, but sometimes they can be contaminated, which is why you often now find them with the gluten-free label on them. I'm going to add some ginger. This is fresh fruit ginger. You could use ground ginger, but for this Goldilocks porridge, it's so much better when you've got all fresh produce. Now, ginger is a great digestive aid as well, so it's always good to have in any types of cooking. I'm going to grate it over into the pan, straight into the porridge. Now, the last ingredient we're going to put in are cardamom seeds. So I'm going to put a handful of these in there as well. So I'm going to grate a little bit more ginger over here because I think I'm going to put some in right at the end as a sort of garnish. So then we're going to add some turmeric, and this is a really nice anti-inflammatory spice. So I'm going to put a good heaped teaspoon in. I'm going to put a little bit of sea salt in, just a twist. And I'm actually at this point going to put a small drizzle of honey in. As you can see, it's really bubbling, and I can really smell that turmeric. I can smell the cinnamon. I can see the color of all those things combined have made. So I'm going to put them into these glass jars. Then I'm going to put my freshly grated ginger on the top of each one. I'm going to do a sprinkle of sesame seeds. This is really just for a little bit of garnish. This is my really wonderful honey. It's called Hard to Find honey, and it's infused with coriander. So I'm just going to put a really small amount of honey on the top here for taste. And there you have 2 Goldilocks porridges fit for any little bear for breakfast. I'm Hannah Richards. I've been cooking for the Chrissy B Show. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much to Hannah there. So now it's time to go to my final thought of the day. Thank you very much to all my guests on today's program, especially to Denise, who shared her story about starting her own business after the age of 50 and actually taking that leap of faith. And I really hope that we've given you food for thought today. If you are contemplating whether to actually make a move, take that leap of faith, or if it's better for you to maybe stay where you are actually. So if you would like to make any suggestions for topics, by the way, you can also email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. Now, something that I would like to draw on from today's program is just something to think about before you make a decision. Perhaps you are feeling like, you know what, I can't take my job anymore, I don't want to do this anymore, I just want to leave. And after watching today's program, I think that I'm ready to do that. But just something for you to consider. It could be something else that has nothing to do with your job, why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So for example, perhaps maybe you're not a grateful person. And what do I mean by that? Maybe you've got something actually really good going for you, but for some reason you don't kind of see what you already have. It's like relationships, for example, when the person might be with someone and they don't actually realize they've struck gold with this person, And it's only when they lose them that they actually realize what they had, and they regret it so much. So I think it's really important that you actually check and see if you're actually just ungrateful for what you have. Is the job really that bad? The people that you work with really that bad? Or is it just something that's going on inside of you that you haven't developed that gratitude attitude, I would say? Or perhaps you're actually just trying to fill a void, because if something's going on inside, if, for example, you are depressed, there's something else going on, it could actually seem like it's the job that you're not enjoying. It can seem like you don't have energy for the job, when actually you're lacking energy for life in general. So just have a good think about this, because I think you might end up changing your job, for example, or changing a relationship, or moving country, and actually find that you're still just as miserable even though you've made all those changes. So check first, is it really the job? Is it really the relationship? Is it really where I'm living? Or is there a deeper problem? Is there something going on inside of you that you need to address? Because once you address what's inside, for example, depression sucks the life out of you. So whatever you do, it takes the joy out of life. Your job doesn't satisfy you, relationships don't satisfy you. They kind of help make you feel a bit better, but it doesn't do it. Exercising doesn't do it for you, because the problem is inside. So once you deal with the root of depression that you're going through, then you'll find that you will start enjoying other things. So just check whether it is actually something inside that's going on. If you do find that it's something going on inside, address that first and then make decisions to change. That would be my advice for today's program. Well, everyone, we have reached the end. So if you have a story that you would like to share, please do get in touch with us by emailing us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet or Instagram us @ChrissyBShow, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about me and my mental health journey, all you need to do is visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now. So can you tell us about more?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love that.
Should we start again?